Hey, we got about 6 minutes after the top of the hour. Real quick shout out to our sponsor, First Northern Bank and Trust. Your community, their commitment, and they are committed to making your life easier when it comes to your financial needs. Everybody gets nervous when it comes to money. They can make it nice and easy with your apps, with everything that they can do for you online, and take the stress out of money. Life is stressful enough, so let's take the stress out of money, shall we? We're going to move on to our first artist of the day. We have a double banger. We have a back-to-back artist situation today, but our very first artist is a lovely lady. I've been trying to get her on the air. She was quite busy for a bit, and I finally got her pinned down, and we're so excited to have this lovely lady on board doing a lot of things. She's got some new music out there. We're going to listen to her brand new song that's out there charting on country music right now and have a little chat with her. Please, please, please make welcome, and I'm so excited to, have her on board. Sarah Dunn from the Sarah Dunn Band. Hey, Sarah, how are ya?
Hey. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. I'm glad that we could finally get in touch.
Yeah, it's been a little bit, but you know what? Then it worked out. This is all perfect because you've got some exciting things that we're going to talk about and you get your fans all up to date on everything that's going on with Sarah, and I'm just excited. Your website is pretty darn amazing, too. One of the things we'll talk about is that and how people can reach out to you. But Let's talk a little bit about Sarah and how Sarah got to where she's at before she became the Sarah Dunn Band. I like to go back in time a little bit because everybody's story about how they got to where they are is always just a little bit different. Sometimes they're incredibly unique. So can you do that? Can you give us a little background on Sarah and how she got to where she's at today?
Absolutely. And, as I'm sitting here thinking about it, that's always a question that now it just seems like such a long story just because of each experience that I've had over the years. But I was born in the Ozarks, born and raised in the Ozarks, and it's a area in southwest Missouri and North Arkansas. It's a beautiful hilly area, but it's also really rich in music culture, in country music, bluegrass, folk music. And it's sort of it's a nice little brewing pot of just great music. So I was lucky to be from that region, but also to be from a very musical family.
Mm-hmm.
My mom is a singer-songwriter. My grandpa, who I'm to this day very close to, and also my great-grandparents who lived right next door. And I was lucky enough to, like I said, to be neighbors with them. And my great-granddad was a fiddle player. So to me, like being surrounded by all these people who had so much talent and such a passion for music was really an advantage to me. So that's really where my earliest interest came into play for country music, was just listening to all these great, family members, musicians. And so being surrounded by that all the time really got me going. I would go down and I'd listen to my great-granddad play fiddle and try to just pick up things from him. And then, unfortunately, he passed away before I could really learn a lot from him. But really that really inspired me to first pick up the fiddle. Mm-hmm. And I've been singing for as long as I can remember. But I was lucky enough to have a mom that was very nurturing and she was very encouraging and taught me everything that she knew. And then when I turned 13, music was all I could think about. It was sort of like being in love for the first time, where you can't eat and you can't sleep and that's all you can think about. But for me, it wasn't a first love; it was music. That was my first love, and so I came to Mom and I said, "Hey, I've got to do something about this. I really want to start a band, and will you help me?" And she did. Of course, she did. She's been my biggest champion my whole entire life. So we managed to, scrape together a few bucks, which was kind of difficult at that time. I grew up in a family that we weren't rich in material things, so it took a little bit of scraping, but we did, and we got together some, music equipment, and we started a band. We just started auditioning musicians locally and trying to get our foot in the door anywhere we could. So I grew up for the next several years just playing 5 and 6 nights a week in local honky-tonks and bars and dives and just anywhere that I could play. And I wouldn't trade that. I wasn't one of those artists that just woke up and they had a dream, even though there's nothing wrong with that. But I didn't go directly to Nashville. I spent a lot of time sort of in between the Ozarks and Nashville, just kind of building myself as a performer and learning who I was as an entertainer. So I think that was a really integral part of the person I am now, the entertainer I am now. But I finally did make it to Nashville. That was always, a dream of mine to get there and to make, to get into that community and and learn and grow, I guess. So I did finally make it down there, and it's just been a whirlwind ever since. I mean, It's been in the last, I guess, 5 years or so. I've been, back and forth to Nashville and really getting into the community there. So it's just growing as a songwriter. I think that's been the most important thing in my life lately. But that's really kind of how I came to the point I am now.
Yeah. Well, I think, and what's interesting about your story, like you were saying, some people, they aspire to be, into the industry or they had a normal life for a long time and had a 9-to-5 job, and it was kind of like a backdoor dream, and then they finally stepped out at one point and maybe stepped on one of the TV shows or however they got there. But I have to say, I think in a way you were way lucky to grow up with it. It was an easier learning curve too. It's hard to I have to say, it's hard to pick up something older when you're older. I play guitar, and guitar is, in itself, it's an easier instrument to play. And then my dad, who used to play a couple of things, gave me a fiddle. And let me tell you something. Anybody who plays a fiddle, I am in awe. All I can do is make it sound like a cat is dying somewhere. I mean, it is truly a very difficult instrument to play. And you guys always make it look so easy. So I'm like in awe of that.
I think thank you. And I think it's like, with any instrument, you sort of have that, that starting point where you're going to sound terrible for a while. And honestly, I was literally banished to the barn for the first few months. I picked it up.
Yes. My husband has banished me to like the garage. He's like, if you're going to practice, you need to go someplace else because it hurts my teeth.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think everybody kind of has that starting point. And then, once you get to a certain point and it sort of becomes muscle memory and it becomes easier. But yeah, I can tell you, even as a fiddle player, even I had my screeching cat moments.
Oh my gosh, it hurts my teeth, and I'm the one doing it. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I mean, just for that in itself, I'm just always amazed. I mean, I look at people like Charlie Daniels and Rhonda Vincent, and you guys just really truly. I mean, you pick that thing up, and it's like, how come I can't do that? I can't get one note out of it, and you guys are like,
oh man,
so awesome. But growing up with it too, and starting it maybe a little younger would have helped for me anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, kids are really like sponges, and you're right. I was so lucky in that way. I look around and I'm like, man, not everybody had that sort of support system, and it wasn't just my family. I look at this is an area that's pretty rich with local musicians, and at one time or another, I think I've worked with all of them, and it's a blessing that sometimes I'll post something, and one of these guys that was sort of my mentor, I consider all of them my mentor. They'll speak up and say, "Oh, I remember when Sarah was just a sprout," and
yeah.
And I just consider all of these personalities, all these personalities that I grew up with, even outside my family, as a part of sort of who I am today. I sort of took bits and pieces from everybody, so I was very lucky.
Now, are you also writing music, Sarah? Is some of the stuff that you guys are doing, are you writing, or is it more you're into the performing and making a song your own?
I've pretty much written every song, except for like one or two of the early singles that I released. But really, for me, as much as performing, songwriting has become my true passion, because I feel it is the best form of expression, and really that's where I want to continue to blossom, and I don't want to ever stay static. Mm-hmm. For me, songwriting is very, it's therapeutic. It just gives me a feeling like nothing else. So I wrote the current single and all of the songs on the EP except for Cautionary Tale, and all of the songs on the previous EP as well. So yeah, I write my songs, and and it's just a huge part of my life.
Mm-hmm. Do you think at some point you're going to shift and only, only do writing and step back as a performer? Or do you think the hand in hand is going to continue for quite some time?
I mean, I can't really predict that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see that as out of the question because I like it so much. But then again, since I don't know, when you've performed as long as I have, there's I don't know, there's that feeling that you get out of a live performance that's
Mm-hmm.
sort of unlike anything else. So
Sure.
I definitely have that need to perform. So I think in one capacity or another, I'm always going to be a performer. But songwriting, like I said, songwriting is something that I am looking forward to continuing to learn about and to grow as a songwriter, I guess.
Awesome. Nice. Well, yeah, and that's another one of those things too, that the more people you get, involved with as writers, you always want to keep growing no matter what. I mean, and you've been, performing and writing for so long, but there's always something that you can absorb from someone and just take your talent and even take it that much further. So that's nice when you have the opportunity to be surrounded by so many very talented people, which again,
absolutely. I think that, go ahead.
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
I was just saying that I just recently started getting into co-writing.
Uh-huh.
I have been set up a couple times with some really great writers out of Nashville and out of Dallas. And I think the thing that lends itself the most to the songwriting that I've done, the co-writing I've done, is that sense of perspective. I mean, each of us we have the same experiences, but our perspective is so different. And I think that's what really makes a great co-write is when you put two people in a room and their perspective and their experiences, their experiences may be the same, but just from a different viewpoint. And that makes for a great song, a great experience.
Yeah. And you're bringing two ideas, like you're saying, your experiences together and can put a whole different spin on something as if you wrote it all by your lonesome. So, that's
exactly.
also, and can reach out and maybe touch different people once it's performed because of the accumulation of energies and talent that got put together in a song once the final product has all come around too. And speaking of your music, let's actually talk a little bit about, you're excited to make an announcement that you've got some new music out there. Why don't you get us up to date on where you are with the new single and the new music that you have out there? One in particular, we were talking about "Figure It Out," which is your current single that you have out there.
That's right. "Figure It Out" is our brand new single. It's off of the EP, which is titled "Unbridle Me," and it's really, we were just talking about perspective, and really that song that song for me showcases that human experience that we were just discussing. "Figure It Out" was one that I wrote when I was sort of just ruminating on the condition of heartbreak and, how people cope, how I've coped in the past with it. So I wrote this song, and it was impactful for me. And in the past, I've released singles that are, fairly lighthearted. I like songs that are just feel-good songs. But when this opportunity came to release a new single, I wanted to show a different side of me, and maybe delve into kind of deeper emotional territory with the song. So "Figured Out" was the first single that I actually chose on my own.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I rely on advice from people in Nashville, my team in Nashville and everything. I rely on their advice because obviously they've been in the business a long time. But this one spoke so intensely to me that I chose it as the single, and it seemed to resonate with the fans as well. It sort of touched those heartstrings, and we're up to 44, I believe, on Billboard Indicator right now, and we've been going around the country and singing the song and talking to people about the song, and so I'm very excited about this one and excited about the whole EP because it's sort of a new. It turned a leaf for me. Really, this EP is the first time I've sort of felt artistic freedom I guess. I guess that's the way to say it.
So you wrote the song, you put the music to it. This is a product of Sarah Dunn in a new light.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
It's interesting, and that's actually kind of cool. So I think what I'd like to do, if you can hang in there for a little bit, we have to take a little bit of a break, but what I'd like to do is get it out there and let people listen to it. And really, one of the things is when you hear a song out on radio and you don't know the background or you don't know where it's coming from, you still can feel it, you still can get that connection with the song. But I think once people also see the background and kind of hear the backstory to something, they can listen to it in a different way and maybe get a different feeling from it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so if you can hang in there, what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to play that. Now, remember, guys, this is off her EP, Unbridle Me. It's her single that's out right now. It's called Figure It Out. How many are on this EP, Sarah? How many songs?
You know what? I'm actually drawing a blank right now. I believe there's, oh my gosh, I don't even know.
Okay.
There's a good amount.
All right.
I think there's 8 or 10 on there, something like that. But they're all very, very personal to me. Like I said, this album has been, it's been sort of a signpost, I guess. So I'm excited to hear how people react to all of the songs.
All right. Well, Unbridled Me is the EP. We're going to talk more about Sarah, about some of her other songs. We're also going to talk to her about connectivity, on how you can reach out to her, where you can find out where she's going to be performing and all that. We're going to get to all that, the social medias and that, in just a minute. Sarah, as long as you can hang in there, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to be back with her current single that's out there, a little something called Figure It Out. You guys really need to listen to it and get that raw feeling that this particular song puts out there. We'll talk more with Sarah in just a minute, right here on Wall to Wall Country and Penn's Peak Radio. Hey, and we heard Sarah Dunn's latest single back there, a little something called Figure It Out. Kind of almost like a haunting, like kind of like deep and dark tune there, Sarah. It was very good, though. I liked it.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That's what heartbreak is, though. I mean, that's what I was saying. Like, I was off the road, and I was just thinking about relationships, about how everybody sort of experiences at some point or another when, a relationship ends, and maybe one person is still reaching out, and the other one is already moving on. And to me, that's it's a sad situation. It's one that I think a lot of people have experienced. So that's where that song really originated.
Now, are you getting feedback on your social medias or, contact-wise from your fans that are like, man, you hit the nail on the head with that one. I am going through it now, or I've been there, done that. I feel ya. I mean, are you getting that response yet? I know it's fairly new, but are you getting that?
Oh, absolutely. And really, that was sort of the one of the driving forces that caused me to choose this one as a single, because it not only resonated with me, but when I was sharing it before we actually decided to put it out, I shared it with a few people, and it seemed to just have that a really strong impact emotionally. And I think that's the mark of a good song, or a song that connects people, I guess. Mm-hmm. So that was. Yes, I've been getting those responses, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful that for me, that's what it's about, is reaching out and connecting with other people on an emotional level.
Yeah, and and that's when you did something right with a song. When
right.
when it's touching people, when it's reaching out, and it's actually making an impact on people and stuff. So congratulations on that, and I hope it continues to climb up the charts there for you off this EP, Unbridle Me. I want to talk about another one of your tunes off of it first, too, in just a minute. But first, one of the things I like to ask artists that kind of been doing this kind of stuff for a while, there's some interesting things that you've had throughout your career as you're growing and as you're doing things and as you're getting through all this stuff. I always like to ask, is there a couple moments or maybe one that sticks out a little bit that was just really, rock solid? It's like, this is where I'm at. This is where I'm supposed to be. This is what I'm supposed to be doing in the career that kind of comes to mind. If somebody said, where is that defining moment in your career? Do you have one? Do you have a couple? Can you tell us a story about something that helped you really say, yep, I'm in the right spot?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, I guess there's been lots of moments, and I mean, there's been good and bad moments that reaffirm that for me. Like, it's not just the good moments, but sometimes it's the bad moments where I'm a really stubborn personality, so sometimes things go south. And for me, it just lights a fire under me even more. But I can tell you about a couple good moments that were good affirmations for me. And one is the first time that I looked out into an audience and I saw somebody that I did not recognize singing along with one of my songs.
Oh, yeah. Huh.
It's a really powerful moment because, you go through life and you feel like you're sort of in your own little world and you feel like it's very hard to reach out to make an impact. And you're just swimming in a great big ocean. So, to have that moment where someone that you don't recognize, you've never seen before in your life, is singing along with one of your songs, it makes a huge impact on you. And that was a good moment for me. That was a good affirmation. And then I guess one of my proudest moments where I felt just like I was just walking on air was when I opened up for Charlie Daniels, because he is a fiddle legend.
Sure.
Not just fiddle. I mean, he's a country legend. And I was able to open for him, and then during the finale, during Double Went Down to Georgia, he asked me to get up and play with him.
Wow.
And that was a huge moment for me because I looked up to him my whole life. Whenever I was just learning to play fiddle, I would try to emulate some of his sounds, and I'd play Double Went Down to Georgia 5 nights a week because that was, that's people always requested it. So, but I never really believed I'd be standing there in front of him and him asking me to come up on stage with him. I think my family believed that it would happen more than I ever believed it.
Yeah.
So when it did happen, that was a huge moment for me, and I felt super blessed, and I felt just inspired to keep going, to have more moments like that.
So you got to be honest, girl. Now, was it nerve-wracking? Was it nervous? Did you hit all the notes the right way, the way you would normally do it while you're like on stage with like this guy? I mean, how did it go?
I mean, I was obviously terrified. I was obviously terrified because here's a man who embodies country fiddle. He's a living legend. So when he asked me to get up there, I was shaking. I was shaking in my boots. But, there's sort of that other part of me that says, hey, you can do this. You've been doing this for years, and you just get up there and you show them what you've got. And, that part of you that pep talks you, I guess.
Yeah.
So I was able to sort of rely on that and just sort of go into
play mode. Just
to that mode where you're just you're doing it from muscle memory because you've done it so much.
Yeah.
So I was able to do that, but I can tell you, he's pretty. He is a great entertainer, and he's pretty sly because he threw in some licks that are definitely not in the recording. And he was like looking underneath his hat over at me, like, "Are you getting what I'm putting down right now?" Oh, I was getting it.
Yeah. Seeing if he could like throw you off a little. It's like, is this girl going to be able to keep up? That's awesome.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
I absolutely did my best. Do you remember the commercial that he's in where he's like, "That's how it's done, son"?
Yeah.
He's totally like that.
I did. I had the opportunity to have a little interview with him. It might be a year now already. I guess it was last year sometime when he was being recognized for some really big thing. At the age of whatever 80-something, he's still out there doing crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, he was down to earth. He was very sweet to talk to, and yeah, I mean, but I could see, you speak of the little devil. You could see that little devil in him, and I could so see him doing that, kind of like eyeing you up and going, "Is this girl really going to be able to keep up with me? Let's see what she's got." And And
he's a sweetheart. He is probably the nicest man I've ever met, and just a very loving and kind, very patriotic soul. But, he has that little twinkle in his eye, too. He's got a little bit of mischief in him still.
Yeah, that's why he's as old as he is, because he's been able to, throw it down every once in a while, and people just got to learn to keep up with the man. You know what I mean? Well, that's awesome.
That's right.
That's a great story. And, and that's got to be one of those pinch me moments where you're at one point thinking, is this a dream or is this really happening? That's got to be a pinch me moment. It really was. That's awesome. Well, good for you.
Thank you.
Good for you. Let's move on to some more of your music. I mean, we talked about another song. Now, this is also off the Unbridled Me. Dirty is off the Unbridled Me EP.
Dirty was actually our previous single.
Okay, yep.
EP, Wild Wild Heart. But it was one that, when you look at country music here, all these guys just putting out feel-good songs, party songs, and I'm thinking, why can't us girls have a little fun, too? So for me, that was just my way of saying, hey, us girls are going to have some fun. And when I put it out, I was down at, I think, the Country Network doing some liners, and I met up with Don Mills, who's one of their videographers and creative minds of the Country Network. So I got to talking with him. I said, hey, do you shoot music videos? And he said, I haven't yet, but I will. Uh-huh. So we got together, and we just made the most fun, ridiculous music video that we could fathom. And Dirty was, I think it was one of those things that did well with the fans because everybody can relate. Everybody can just, sometimes just has to cut loose. Mm-hmm. So it was one of the more fun songs that we've done. I loved it.
That's awesome. And they can actually see the video on your website, which is Sarah Dunn Band. Now, Dunn is spelled with two N's for folks. They need to know that it's SARAHDUNN band.com, and they can actually see the Dirty video right there on your website and how much fun you guys had doing that.
Absolutely.
Along with a bunch of other great videos that you have on here as well. And, your website's really nice. It's got a lot of things going on there, so people need to check it out. The social medias, Sarah, are you all over that? Is it you, or is it, do you got somebody helping you out with that kind of stuff? What's up with the...
Well, I can't claim all the credit.
Oh, okay.
And I'm kind of terrible with social media, but I do get on there and reply. I'm on there quite a bit, but I'm not one of those people that's hooked on it all the time. So if there's a delay of a day or so, it's because I'm pretty absent-minded. But I do have, it's one of the band members or one of our crew answering if it's not me.
Okay.
But we loved the social media. We love hearing from people. We love hearing from the fans, and even if you just stop in and say hi, we love to hear from y'all. And we just got into a partnership with the Ford Music family. So we're part of the Ford Music family, and they have we've done a lot of really cool social media with Ford. So it's definitely worth checking out on our Facebook, on our Twitter, and, of course, on SarahDunnBand.com.
Oh, nice. And so what's down the pike for you and Ford? What are you guys going to be doing together?
Actually, I'm going to be traveling down to Dallas to talk with them about social media coming up. But we were talking about about music and about sort of the country lifestyle. And I think that Ford is one of those companies that sort of embodies that. So I was really honored for them to get behind my music and support me in that way. And we also, Ford is a big supporter of our troops, and I'm behind that as well. So it's just been a really great partnership so far. You guys got to check it out.
All right, awesome. And that's some information that's on your website as well. Your tour, or where you guys are going to be heading, what's in store for that? Where can people start looking for you to do some appearing with the Sarah Dunn Band?
Well, we are always adding shows to the roster, and in the upcoming months, it's going to be fairly national-based. However, we have a pretty heavy radio tour coming up. We're going to be doing some special guest appearances all over the country. Okay. So if people just keep checking up on the schedule on our website, we are kind of in that point of where we're adding a lot of stuff to the schedule right now. But the way that it's looking, I'm going to be in Nashville quite a bit for the next upcoming months. And then I don't know from there. We're just going to be going all over the place.
Okay. I'm looking at the site now, and there's really nothing under upcoming events. Is that going to get updated soon?
Absolutely.
Okay, because I'm not seeing anything on there. Okay. So people need to keep
absolutely
keep an eye on that, and then it'll get updated of where they can find you. And speaking, you said you're bouncing around. Just so you know, I always like to open up the door to Penn's Peak Radio Studios and say, hey, listen, if you're ever in Pennsylvania and you have some time, all my guests are always welcome to stop in and do a little impromptu or whatever. So keep that in mind if you're ever on the east side of the state. We'd love to have you.
I would love to.
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful area. I look forward to visiting soon.
Well, I hope so too. That's why I wanted to look. I was like, is she coming close? But there's nothing on there at the moment. So you guys got to keep checking back to the SarahDunnBand.com and check out when she gets her events listed and where she's going to be and what she's going to be doing, so you can track her down and find her on the social medias and stuff. We're going to play Dirty coming up after I cut you loose and get that song out there. But one last song I like to play at the end of the show to remind everybody to listen in on the interview if they missed it, as the whole show re-airs on a Sunday morning. We talked a little bit about a tune called Bye Bye, and I think that's appropriate because when I'm saying bye bye for the end of my show, that's the song I'm going to play from you. So that's a little appropriate. Perfect. But what's that one about? Is it another heartbreaker, or is it a fun song?
Bye Bye is sort of just one of those songs about, just getting your fill of something and just putting your foot down. So it is sort of a more of a tough song, and that's another one that's been sort of a fan favorite because I think everybody gets to that breaking point. So Bye Bye is a fun one to do.
Awesome. Well, I've been looking forward to playing that at the end of my show, right around the time I'll be saying bye-bye for the day as well. But Sarah, anything new and exciting you want to throw out there for your friends to keep an eye out for, in the near future, in the next couple months, next year or so?
Absolutely. Definitely keep on checking back out on the website, SarahDunnBand.com, on our schedule, because like I said, when we go between singles, we add a lot of different stuff to the roster, so keep on checking with that. Check in on our social media for all of the Ford Music family updates.
Okay.
And look out for, we always have something waiting in the wings as far as music is concerned, and I know that we have a special single coming up after Figure It Out. So definitely keep an eye out and keep listening to Penn Speak Radio, right?
Yeah, man. I mean, that sounds good. And, if we know what's going on with you, we'll be glad to also get your music out there and get your stuff in rotation. And looking forward to hearing more and more about more of this music that's coming off of this Unbridled Me. People can get their hands on the entire EP?
That's right. And by the way, there are 9 songs on the EP.
Okay.
So yes, you can find all of that on iTunes, Amazon, Google Play, the whole 9 yards. It's called Unbridled Me.
Awesome. So like her Facebook page, there's information on there for the Ford Music Presents the Sarah Dunn Band. You can check that out on there. Follow her a little bit about what she's got going on, and there's some videos on there. Lots of good stuff. So check out her Facebook, her Twitter, her Instagram, and all those, and be in touch with her and keep an eye on what's going on. So excited for you. I wish you all the best with this single and what you got in the works for the next couple of months or so. And again, if you're in the area, let us know. We'll be glad to have you in here, and keep us in mind too. You got a new announcement, you got something new and exciting going on, just let me know and we'll get you back on the schedule. Love to have you back on the show, Sarah.
Thank you so much, Casey. I appreciate it.
All right. So that's Sarah Dunn. Make sure you check her out at SarahDunnBand.com. We are going to play her song. Sarah, if you are excited, you're more than welcome to go ahead and announce your song, Dirty, as we're going to play it right here on Penn Speak Radio. Go ahead, Sarah.
All right. This is Sarah Dunn, and you're listening to Dirty right here on Penn Speak Radio.